I see the red carpet. Like, this is my very first time seeing anything that I've been dreamed and imagined about and seeing on television. So, mind you, I'm a dancer, you know, a trained dancer. So back in college, my dance instructor used to always teach us, don't ask a million questions when you can pay attention and watch, right? So she had this thing about look, see, and do, right? Look, see, and do. That was a great way that she taught us choreography. So that was embedded into me so much so that automatically when I went on that carpet, I already knew to look, see, and do. I wasn't going to ask people a bunch of questions, a bunch of basic questions that I can watch somebody that knows what they're doing and just watch, you know, pay attention.
It's 2019 or teen. Listen, in this video, we talk about what she did and how she was able to build and self-publish a magazine, Jubilee magazine, digital magazine, without any schooling. Also, when she was coming out with this magazine, she was also going through a divorce. She's the mother of 2 children. 2019 is going to be her best year yet. She has 3 television shows. If you feel like you know a friend or somebody that would be interested in her and what she's up to, share this interview with them. There's a lot of really good practical content in here for those of you who want to go into television and in the media industry. So appreciate you watching and listening. Leave a like, leave a comment, give it a share. Check out the timestamps below for content you're actually interested in or questions you want to skip ahead and get answers to. And I appreciate you watching Millennials in Ministry. Talk to you soon. All right, guys. Well, hey, welcome to the first episode in 2019 of Millennials in Ministry. I'm your host, Erin B. Lashley, and I have a guest today, Kim Stewart, who I'm so excited about. Kim, thank you for being on the show. How are you today?
I am awesome. I'm here in Monroe, Louisiana. I drove down with my daughter to drive her to college. Now I'm going to fly back to Atlanta. Mom duties.
Wow. That's amazing. So you've had quite the trip then, huh?
Yes, I did. Lots of logistics.
That's great. Well, hey, for those who are watching and listening that may not know a little bit about you, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Yeah, I'm a TV host, entrepreneur, media maven, as some people would say. But, you know, I started my own media outlet because I just saw a void in the industry of media, specifically faith. You know, specifically merging faith with mainstream. So I'm from Grambling, Louisiana, which is a small town in Louisiana. And so after I graduated from college, I moved to Atlanta to pursue my big dreams, right? Because I thought everything was popping in Atlanta. And, you know, and it still is. It's a great place to start anything. And so I did that. And, you know, I worked a few regular jobs, but, you know, once I say rededicated my life to Christ, I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
That's when all my lights start coming on about what I really should be focused on, what I really should be doing. But I always loved media, music, entertainment. I would always watch award shows. Me and my dad would watch it all the time to see who won best whatever. You know, he would record them. He still records them. And, you know, I just wanted to use media and entertainment as a way to influence the world, to show them who Christ is, you know, just to give them another option of what's out there. So that's what I did. And I created my media outlet, started out as an online magazine, and now I've moved over to the television space.
That's awesome.
Okay.
One thing I love about you, Kim, and I listened to your podcast on your website. Guys, if you're listening, go check it out after this. But Kim, what's so amazing and encouraging to me about your story is that you didn't go to school for the things that you're doing, but yet you've encountered so many incredible opportunities. Like, how did you get from there to here? Like, what happened?
Girl. So my degree is in psychology, right? And like I said, I worked so many like regular jobs. And even just how I ended up with a degree in psychology. I started out in nursing because my mom was like, you need to graduate with something where you have a good paying job when you graduate.
Yeah.
And so I did that for like to my junior year until it was time for me to start working in a hospital. And I was like, yeah, I don't want to work in a hospital. It stinks. And no, you know, so I was passing the classes, but I'm like, this is not my life, you know? Yeah. So I just found the thing closest to nursing where I wouldn't lose a lot of credits that I can switch my major to, graduate, and just go, you know, which so happened to be psychology. So I graduated and I said, I'll figure it out later. So I moved to Atlanta. And so probably, I don't know how many years later, maybe 7 years later, something like that. I forgot. But I later on, when I did decide to do media, I just Googled, you know, now mind you, this was before social media, before
Okay.
WordPress, before
Yeah.
anything that makes it easy for people to just pop up on the scene
Right.
tomorrow
Right.
with these huge media outlets, which is great that those opportunities are there now. But when I started, it was not. If you
Hmm.
wanted a website, you had to pay a web designer thousands of dollars to
Wow.
design you a website. And at the time, Kim didn't have thousands of dollars just to put on something that she's figuring out, right? So
Shoot.
I just Googled, at the time, Yahoo, that's when Yahoo was popping. Yahoo had this site builder template called Site Builder, Yahoo
Uh-huh.
Site Builder. So I was like, okay, maybe I can fidget with this. So I did for days and days and weeks, and I finally got my site to where it looked like I was official, right?
Wow.
And so I wrote some content to put it up there. I knew some friends that was having events around the city for me to cover. So I just did that. I was just literally learning as I went. And so the first major event that I requested press credentials to cover was the BET Hip Hop Awards in '07. I didn't
Wow.
think they were going to tell me no, because I'm like, I'm supposed to be there. Like, and
Yeah.
it was their first year that they were coming to Atlanta. So I'm like,
Um,
perfect. I'm going to get in there. I don't know how, but I'm going to figure
Yeah.
it out, right?
Yeah.
So I said, okay. And then I found out you have to fill out this form called press credentials. So I'm like, okay, let me find that form. Filled
Mm-hmm.
it out. I was like, okay, bam, hit submit. And I was like, okay, wait, we going to wait and see what they say. And praise God, they said yes. So
Oh
I'm
my
like,
God.
oh my gosh. Then I was like, okay, now what? So when I get there, the day of taping, I see like 106 in Park was taping. This is back when Roxy and Terrence J was still doing
Okay.
106 in Park. I see the red
Okay.
carpet. Like, this is my very first time seeing
Wow.
anything that I've been dreamed and imagined about and seeing on television. So, mind you, I'm a dancer, a trained dancer. So back in college, my dance
Oh,
instructor
that's
used to
cool.
always teach us, don't ask a million questions when you can pay attention and watch, right?
Hmm.
So she had
Hmm.
this thing about look, see, and do, right? Look, see, and do.
Yeah.
That was a great way that she taught us choreography. So that was embedded into me so much so that automatically when I went on that carpet, I already knew to look, see, and do. I wasn't going to ask people a bunch of questions, a bunch of basic questions that I can
Yeah.
watch somebody that knows what they're doing and just
Yeah.
watch, pay attention. That's like
Right.
a huge lesson. Just pay attention. That's step one. So that's what I
Yeah.
did. I just watched people, a lot of major outlets. Some people had small digital cameras at the time. This was before cameras was using on the phone and all of that.
Yeah.
That wasn't heard of. People had their small point and shoot digital cameras, and some people had big things, whatever worked for them. So I had
Mm.
a small point and shoot. And so I watched them do what they do, and I turned over and asked my questions like I knew what the heck I was doing. I was talking about like I'm supposed to be here. Like, okay, yes. So my question is,
Right.
right?
Right.
So I did that, and so from event to event. Now, mind you, this was the BET Hip Hop Awards, and this Christian girl, got a faith-based magazine. Girl, what you doing here? I am here to be the light. This is where I
Mm.
belong.
Yeah.
So, Bernice King was there. So those are the type of people I
Mm.
interviewed. Martin Luther King's daughter was there. So many influential people were there. And even if I was interviewing somebody like a TI or somebody, I'm asking them something about faith.
Yeah.
So from event to event to event, basically, I just made relationships with publicists and artists. They knew I was professional. They knew I did good work. They know I did what I said I was going to do. I posted it. I sent them the link. And so they just kept inviting
Yeah.
me out, and sometimes other fellow media journalists would say, hey, this is going on. You might want to send press credentials to come attend to this. So I was like, bet. I filled out that same form, had that same confidence, showed up looking like bam, bam,
Yep.
bam. You got to look the part. Now, you can't go there looking like a homely little church girl.
Yeah.
That ain't what this is, right?
Yeah.
Still being,
Yeah.
still having a great appearance, not totally left, but,
Yeah.
still looking the part like you belong and you came to do business and media.
Right.
So I just
Huh.
did that. And after a while, I really learned, and now I got it now. And so that's
That's
pretty much how
amazing.
that happens. And it's all
That's
about
awesome.
relationships.
Yeah. So people I know, like I have friends, I myself am doing something I've never done before. I would imagine because you didn't get the schooling that at times, did you ever have self-doubt, and when you felt that way, what did you do? How did you handle that?
Absolutely. I would always look, and I would hear people's conversations about, they went to school for media or
Hmm.
mass communications or some form of journalism. So at
Yeah.
the time, I had a full-time job at Georgia State University, and I strategically took a job there because, once again, I'm from a small college town, and I knew if you worked on campus, you had access to courses and teachers and everything. So I purposely took a job at a university because what? Kim didn't have thousands and thousands of dollars to spend on equipment for stuff she's trying to figure out. But I knew if I worked on campus, I would have access to labs and all that kind of stuff. So that's what I did. I took classes. I took just a few, not a lot. I took like a writing class and classes, foundational classes that I thought would help me not look like a total novice, you know? So I took like maybe 3 classes or so just to kind of get a gist to make sure I was on track, other than just kind of figuring out, right? So I took maybe a few classes, but even with that, self-doubt still came because things just wasn't moving as fast as I wanted it to. Like this media game, it is so not for the microwave mindset at all. So I'm like, it's taking too long because I'm just figuring it out. Like, why is this taking so long? You know, but when I would have self-doubt, someone would always, you know, send me a message or tell me something. Hey, I see what you're doing. It's very needed. Keep going, you know, or even one of the editors, no, the publisher of the Source magazine told me, he said, I'm so glad somebody of faith is out here on this red carpet because nobody else is out here but you. That represents the faith community. It was just me. And so instances like that was like, God, you know what? I did hear you right the first time. You know, statements like that from a major mainstream hip hop publication. And he directly tells me, I am glad you were here because nobody else is here. It was like, okay, God, bet I got it. I'm just going to keep going and figuring it out. And even at the same time, what helped me get over it was that media and technology kept changing the game, kept changing. So now it's at the point to where I know more than what a student may know on college campuses because they're going off of what the textbook says. But for the way media is changing, it's changing. In 3 months, we're going to have some new app or something that's going to like change our lives forever. So those are the type of things that kind of help me get above that curve, to remember why I'm here. Remember all those instances where people said, you know, I needed that, or I like the way you're doing it. Those are what kind of keeps me going.
That's really good. One thing you said in your podcast that I found really encouraging and inspiring was that while you were releasing or starting to put out Jubilee magazine, you're a mother of 2 children, and you were also going through a divorce at the same time while all of this life change was happening. And I myself have friends that were previously married, going through a divorce, or are divorced now, and are currently trying to find themselves in a way where, you know, maybe they identified their personal identity with who they were married to and what that life was like before, and now they don't have that. So what would you say to people like that? What's your encouragement?
Yeah, so during the phase when I was figuring this media thing out, I was definitely going through a divorce. It was the worst time of my life, right? And it wasn't the support system guy. If anything, he was telling me, nobody's going to listen to that. I mean, who cares about that? You know, really, you would think your biggest cheerleader would be at home, but that was not my case. So I had to know within myself, I was called to do this for the faith community, right? I had to know for myself that I was called to bridge the faith and the mainstream. And that is what kept me going when constantly every day I was told that I wasn't good enough from who was supposed to be my spouse. So it wasn't until I got out of that situation, moved out to where I was able to start Jubilee magazine, because I couldn't do it at home with him. Because I would be dressed, he'd be like, why you got to wear that? Or where you going? Like when I tell you salt in the game times 10, it was constantly something. Or picking at what I didn't do right around the house. So I couldn't stay in that mindset. I knew I'm either going to stay here and lose my mind, or I'm going to get out of here and go do what God said, right? So I was at that point, I said, hey, me and my kids, we finna move out. It was June, girl, I forgot I think it was 2015. No, it was 07.
Wow.
It was June 15th, 07. And I remember that because that was the day I had to move out. And that was the day I was able to really rest my mind on what God said with Jubilee. So for the people that's going through a divorce, I want you to know that you are not your divorce, whatever the reason is. And another big thing, another fight that I had in my mind was what was church people going to say about me going through a divorce, you know? Because sometimes when you go through a divorce in the church, you might as well hang it up because you are doomed to death forever, right? So I had to know for myself. Biblically, I had an out, a reason. It is
Yeah.
biblically, I definitely had a reason to do it.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I didn't want to lose. You know, I don't like losing. So I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
Father, you said in your word, you know, I did all of that. But I
Yeah.
left with a very clear conscience, knowing that I did everything in love that I was supposed to do. So once you are freed up from that, because I asked one of the ministers, I'm like, how many times am I going to have to go through this with this person? It hurts me every time he does this. From the
Yeah.
words he says, from infidelity. I'm like, God, this can't be your will. You know what I'm saying? This can't be it.
Right.
And
Right.
I so-called did it the right way, right? I wasn't out there just looking for a man and just grabbed him and tried. No, it was none of that. I'm like, I did this the right way. I
Yeah.
waited. Well, this is the man I, had, my daughter with when I was in college, but we were abstinent. When we got back together, we were abstinent
Yeah.
for a
Yeah.
while until we got married. I'm like, okay, I did it right this time. Why is this
Yeah.
happening? And I
Wow.
just couldn't make sense of it. But for someone that's going through a divorce, continue to lean on God for healing, lean on that word, and focus on your purpose. Focus
It's
on why
powerful.
you are here. You're not here just to be someone's wife. That wasn't
Yeah.
the period that God put on his purpose for your life. That no.
Yeah.
Your purpose is to do what he calls you to do on earth. So at the same time, we got to pick the right person that matches that gift and that purpose.
Right.
So I would say figure out what that purpose is. If you do know it, get busy on it. If you thought you had
Yeah.
it, girl, figure it out. Or brother, figure it out. Because I don't want to make it gender specific. I'm just speaking from my perspective and my experience.
Yeah.
So figure out what that her purpose is and get busy. At the same
Yeah.
time, I served in my church. I served, and so much blessings and grace and favor comes on your life when you serve somebody, right? Serve the right
Yeah.
person. I was serving, under my pastor and man of God on our mission. We did like this 50-state crusade. So we went to 50 states, talking about Jesus. I mean,
Yeah.
everything was amazing. And I served till I was tired. And if you can do that and you're not getting a dime for it, but it's all about the mission, then your heart is developing right. So I was
Yeah.
doing all of those things. So if you're going through, and I keep repeating myself, but if you're going through a divorce, those are some basic things you want to do to move on after that setback. Definitely get some counseling. If you have children, make them very aware of what's going on. At the time, my kids they're 10 years apart. My son, he really didn't know. He was like a baby. He was like maybe 2. But my daughter was
Okay.
like about 12. So she was very clear, like,
Yeah.
what are we doing and what's going on?
Right.
But she knew we
Yeah.
fought so much. Even this weekend, she told me she's glad my brother wasn't raised in the house where me and her dad was together, because all we did was fight, right? And it was me fighting for me not to be disrespected. And it was him fighting for him to have control. It just wasn't a situation that God was being blessed in. But yeah, that's what kept me going, is focusing on Jubilee, which was the name of my online magazine, and just building it.
Which is great, by the way.
Thank you. And
Yeah.
Jubilee, and that name Jubilee means living the life you've always wanted. Like, in the Bible, we had to wait to the year of Jubilee just to get a healing. But after Jesus, we ain't got to wait for that. We can go to the throne right now. Right?
Let's go.
So, yeah,
Yep.
right. So Jubilee is like, and so that's what I wanted my magazine to represent. Living the life you always wanted, making the money you always wanted, living the dreams that God told you would have that you always wanted. So that's what I always represented in faith, music, and the films that I covered, and the artists that I chose to cover, because I didn't chose all the artists just because you was Christian. You had to be popping, right? Because I was not about to do that. No, ma'am. No. I'm here to be the new stereotype. Like, we gonna break those stereotypes of all church girls, or don't take care of themselves, they don't work out. No, I'm here to break all those stereotypes, because that blocks so many people from receiving Jesus, because they can't get past the physical.
Right.
They can't get past that. That stuff ain't presented right. On mainstream side, people in shape, their bodies banging, the beats are banging. Like, you like, wow, what is that? You don't even know what the words are, but you like, yes.
Yeah.
So the gospel, y'all, we got to come on with it now. We got to get that presentation on point. And that's what I want in my overall brand. And not just Jubilee. Jubilee was just one part of the brand that I wanted to. I just started with the magazine, but there's so many more things that I wanted to do.
That's powerful, Kim. That's
Thank
really
you.
powerful. Yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you.
So this next question I ask selfishly because I interview so many people
Okay.
on my podcast, and I've seen on your YouTube channel that you do it so well. So I just want to ask you, as a professional, what are some keys to having successful interviews in your opinion?
I would say genuinely enjoy the conversation. Like I just have
Mm,
conversations. Like
yeah.
I don't know if it's bad to say this tonight, but I rarely prepare for an interview,
Yeah.
right?
Okay. Yeah.
I used to. I guess I'm put it that way. When I started, I used to write down the questions and do all those type things. And sometimes that is good when it's depending upon what type of interview it is to keep you
Yeah.
on task. But it used to throw me off because I would sound so robotic and
Sure.
rehearsed, and the feel was just gone. It was just cold.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
so, like, if I'm sitting in the airport right now, if somebody walked up to me, told me their name, where they're from, whatever, bam, let's go. I'm ready to interview
Yeah.
them. I'm ready to have a
Yeah.
conversation. We want to know, who are you? What do you do? Why are you
Mm-hmm.
doing it? What
Yeah.
makes that easy? What makes it difficult? What makes you different? So really genuinely have an interest in who you're talking to,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's why you can't just pop up and start a magazine or pop up and want to be a host just because it's the cute popping thing to do because you want to be on the scene.
Right.
Nah, no. You really gotta genuinely want
Mm,
to have good conversations with people. You
that's good.
genuinely want to tell a really good story to where it might change somebody's life from what you're asking,
Right.
or choosing the right people that you know are powerful that can help be the catalyst to change somebody's life. So I would say the main thing is to genuinely have an interest in who you're talking to,
Yeah.
what you're talking about, and have some personality. Don't go in
Mhm.
there, dry. Don't go in there just happy, happy go lucky. Be authentic.
Right.
I mean, being
Right.
authentically you is so important, and every interviewer is different. Maybe sometimes some people's dryness is their zhuzh or whatever you want to call it. I don't know,
Sure.
but my main thing what works for me is to genuinely have an interest in who you're interviewing, and usually most of the people that I'm interviewing, they're either recording artists, actors, singers, directors, producers,
Yeah.
people that's in the creative field.
Hmm.
Because I know a lot of times people, and I chose that because I know media is powerful. Films are
Hmm.
powerful. Movies are powerful. Music is
Totally.
powerful. It's a way
Yeah.
into the heart, into the mind. And if
Hmm.
it's two choices, you can either tell that story to change somebody's life, or it could be used to send somebody in the wrong direction. So I really
Yeah.
want to be able to use that tool of media and the influence that we have for good.
That's good.
Thank you.
So Kim, I set up this Millennials in Ministry podcast because I was actually personally looking for a podcast that would encourage me as I'm trying to make an impact in the community. And so I felt like God was like, well, you can't find what you're looking for, so why don't you just start it? So I did this podcast and now I've got one, and
Yay.
so it's for millennials who want to make an impact in their communities. And so I want to ask you, going into 2019, what advice would you give for millennials as we enter into this new year?
Yeah, wow. For 2019, I would say get with God to make sure you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, right?
Hmm.
It's one thing to do something you think is cool, but it's even more impactful if you're doing what He said, right?
Yeah.
So once you know you're doing what He said, I would say um, definitely use social media. It's a gift that has been given that can
Yeah.
really that is really powerful.
Yeah.
Superstars are made at this point on social media, are starting to be made
It's
on
crazy
social
how that
media,
happened.
right?
Yeah.
So pick a platform, whether it's Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. It depends on your audience. Know who your audience
Yeah.
is, know where they are, and go to them. If your audience
Right.
is a little older, you need to be on Facebook because mostly the older demographics are more so on Facebook than any other social media platform.
Yeah.
If you write a lot, or you have a lot of interesting things to say via the written word, Twitter is great. My jam. I love Instagram. I love visual, right? And of
Yeah.
course,
Yeah.
there's YouTube. So figure out what your platform is and be a perfectionist at it. Like study
Yeah.
who may be doing something similar, and
Hmm.
don't copycat them. Don't mimic them, but take
Hmm.
bits and pieces from different people and make it your own, and be
That's
consistent
good.
with it and grow your brand and monetize it, and just make sure it's an excellence. And a
Yeah.
lot of times excellence is doing the best you can with what you got, right?
Sure.
So it's a lot of
Hmm.
free tools out there so that you can do that. So know what your purpose is, do your homework,
Yeah.
Realize it's not going to be overnight, because I've been doing this over a decade, and I'm just
Sure.
now getting to where some really, 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 really major things are going to happen in 2019 for my career.
That's awesome.
But that happened, like, granted, social media does make it a little bit faster, a little
Yeah.
bit, but that doesn't take away the work ethic that it takes. Just imagine, what if you didn't have social media? What would a person's work ethic look like? How would you find
Mhm.
information that you can't Google, right? So
Right.
before Google was
Right.
popping and all this social media, I had the work ethic to do my homework and figure it out, ask the questions until I was clear. Even though for millennials, you have so many tools that make it easy for you, you still have to have that work ethic as if you don't have those tools, because that's what's
Right.
going to set you apart from others.
That's good. That's
Thank
really
you.
good. So I want to ask you too, that was my next question was for you, what are some of the exciting things coming up for you in 2019 that you're most excited about?
Oh my God, I'm so excited. So many things. Girl, I finally got a
Really?
manager now. Thank God. I've been needing a
Wow.
manager for so long. And that has really made my life a whole lot easier, where we can just really brainstorm and just tag team. But
Yeah.
I'm finally finishing my first book. It's going to come out the first quarter of this year. So
That's
excited.
awesome.
And it's
Yeah.
basically talking about my story and what I shared at the beginning
Yeah.
of this episode, is about how I moved on past that setback of divorce, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's setback is different. It could be a death
Yeah.
in the family. It could be a career that you thought was going to take off that didn't. Whatever your setback was, you can't let life just stop you there. You can't freeze in your
Sure.
tracks and be like, oh, well, life is over. Forget it. I'm done. No, you ain't done.
Right.
God got so much for you. So I give the tools on how to get back in motion, how to get your mindset back to where you're on top and not thinking about
Yeah.
what happened so much that it consumes you. You want to get to
Right.
where you're on target and on purpose so much you ain't even hardly thinking about that no more. At this point, I can laugh
Right.
at that dude. But
Mm.
now, moving forward, that's what's going to help a person. So I'm working on that. I have I have 3 television shows now. Thank God. I'm so
Wow.
excited to be moving from the online platform to the television platform. And that's what I've
That's
always
amazing.
wanted to do. I always
Yeah.
wanted to be in music and television, online,
That's
on
so cool.
TV, on radio,
Yeah.
everywhere, corporate. I always wanted to be like an executive or industry entertainment executive. I
Yeah.
didn't know how I was going to get there. I didn't know,
Um,
but I just know I needed to be in that space somewhere doing something.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
2019, definitely a lot of television projects. I have a television show now, the 3rd season. We start taping that
So cool.
soon, very, very soon. The 2nd season premieres tonight. And I have a television show called The Hot Seat with
Uh-huh.
Jermaine Dolly and Tim Bowman Jr., which is
Wow.
really, really cool. I have so much fun. Those are my brothers in Christ, like for real. And where we get
Yeah.
to have some conversations that really take us outside of the setting of the church, to have some really deep conversations that most people just don't have about
Right.
living a life for Christ.
Yeah. Kim, that's so awesome. I'm so proud of everything
Yay!
you're doing.
Thank
It's literally
you.
so inspirational. Like, truthfully, it really is.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm excited for you. I know that this next year is gonna be like banging for you. I'm excited to watch it too.
Yay!
I'll be following along, following your stories and stuff. But if
Awesome.
people want to stay in touch with you throughout this next year, what would you say is the best way for them to do that?
Follow me on the gram, girl. Follow me on the
Yeah.
gram. I
Okay.
am Kim Ford. That's where I post. I love IG stories, so I'm there. I'm on Facebook as well too, every now and then. But I'm mostly on Instagram. That's where I love to
Okay.
be. That's where I post what's coming up, when shows are coming out, when my book is coming out. Oh, I would love for you guys to join my email list. Join my email list. So
Okay.
if you go to iamkimford.com, you
Got
scroll
it.
down, you'll see the box that says, join my email list, because I'll be able to send out emails and everything about
Awesome.
what's going on, when things are dropping, what's new, what's popping, and all of that. That's what one of my 2019 goals is, to continue to grow that, because I know email is definitely the number one ways to grow your brand. So I want
That's
to keep y'all
great.
in the loop.
Yay!
Yay,
Well,
I'm
count
so
me in.
excited.
I'm about to subscribe right after this. So
Yes,
I'm gonna be like,
good. I
yeah.
am KimFord.com. And thank you so much for asking me to be on your podcast. I so
Oh my
appreciate
gosh,
it.
you're
Thank
so
you for
welcome.
paying attention, because so many times when you're doing something in the digital space, it's kind of hard to tell. Are you making an impact? Are people listening? Do people care? Are
Yeah.
people, sometimes people
Yeah.
don't, I don't know. The support, it sometimes is there, sometimes it's not.
Yeah.
it can be very gray sometimes. But so thank you
Yeah.
so much. I appreciate
Oh my
that.
gosh. You're so welcome, Kim. We appreciate it. Love
Yay.
having you on the show. And we
Yay.
look forward to seeing more of you in 2019. Thank you so much for your time.
Awesome. Thank you. Bye, guys.